before we get to the Republican debate, Herman Cain is a leading figure. He's the Godfather Pizza CEO, and he's an African American, and he's running for president on the Republican. He's trying to get the Republican nominee, and here he is sitting down with Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck had a good question to ask him.
So wait a minute. Are you saying that it is that Muslims have to prove there has to be some loyalty proof?
Yes, to the Constitution of the United States of America.
Well, would you do that to a Catholic, or would you do that to a Mormon?
Nope, I wouldn't.
No. See, and I don't think Herman Cain has thought this issue all the way through. But the downside is, if he would have thought it all the way through, the Tea Party would have hated him for it. So it's a lose-lose for him.
Mm-hmm. A Catholic people don't have to do, because the Vatican is a state of America, right?
Well, you know what's weird? It's like these guys seem to love the Constitution, but Article 6 says that there shall be no religious test.
Right.
And so you go, but if you're of a certain religion, I'm going to... First of all...
They like to mention the Constitution. They don't like to defend what it actually stands for.
No, they like to say they like the Constitution.
Right. They like the word, the Constitution.
Yes.
That's the only word they've read in it.
They like the idea. I mean, but it is tough for Herman Cain. He's running for the Republican nomination, and there's two things you can do if you're running for the Republican nomination for president. You can either be stupid or pretend to be stupid, and I think he's doing both.
I think they look at the Constitution the way a lot of people look at Maya Angelou. They know that she says stuff that's really important. They're just not really interested in hearing what that is.
You know, if there's going to be a loyalty test for Muslims, I think maybe an IQ test for Republicans. That's what I'm guessing.
Good idea.
So then he went on to the debate, and he said this. They said, you said you're uncomfortable appointing Muslims in your administration, and he said this.
I would not be comfortable because you have peaceful Muslims and then you have militant Muslims, those that are trying to kill us. Now,
yeah, see, like and that's not racist, what he just said. You know, it's like there's good blacks and then there's the bad blacks, right? There's good Jews and then there's the bad Jews. There's nothing racist about that.
And because a few Christians have killed people, should that apply to Christians too?
No, not the Christians.
I would just love to see a graph that you could pull out that shows the number of people that our country has bombed and killed compared to the number of Muslims that have killed Americans. I would just love for him to see that representation and defend what he just said.
And what you're saying is that once presented with the accurate facts and information, that he would change his opinion.
Yes.
It's a cinch.
And you know that.
If we could only get to him.
If we could only get him the accurate information.
Maybe we could let him see it in an analogy of different toppings on pizzas. He would understand it.
Well, so then Newt Gingrich went on to say this it's weird because what Herman Cain is saying essentially is, I'll break it down. He's saying there is a good form of racism and a bad form of racism. Right. And the good form of racism is the kind we practice towards Muslims.
Yes.
And the bad kind is the kind that they practice against everyone else.
Yes.
That's okay. So I'm glad I'm glad I cleared that. So then Newt Gingrich went on to really stick his neck out.
I just want to go out on a limb here. I am in favor of saying to people, if you're not prepared to be loyal to the United States, you will not serve in my administration, period.
Oh my God! That was the oh my God. I forgot. I didn't know that he said, I'm going to go out on a limb here before he said it. Was he saying that sarcastically?
I don't know, but he continued.
We did this in dealing with the Nazis, and we did this in dealing with the communists, and it was controversial both times. And both times we discovered after a while,
That's why his staff quit.
There are some genuinely bad people who would like to infiltrate our country, and we have got to have the guts to stand up and say no.
Not that he's like retrograde at all, but I think if he's elected, we can be assured Dalton Trumbull will not be hired to write a screenplay.
Wow, that's a good reference, Frank. Not a lot of people know that reference, but that's good. He was a blacklisted writer, during McCarthy. So he's coming out he's pro-McCarthy. He's saying McCarthy had it right.
Yeah.
And the fact that we later found out after McCarthy that there actually were some communists who were trying to infiltrate our government, people go, see, that justifies McCarthy. No, that doesn't. That doesn't justify McCarthy. Just because there might be some Muslims somewhere right now plotting to bomb a plane in America, that doesn't make what Herman Cain did okay, and it doesn't make what Peter King's doing okay in Congress. Just because there is a threat doesn't mean you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, I love how these right-wing guys always want smaller government, and yet they were for a bureaucracy determining people's patriotism in the 50s.
Keep the government out of our backs.
Yes.
But you have to sign this loyalty oath.
Right.
So you're saying that
Ronald Reagan, who they all hold up as the benchmark of smaller government, turned in people's names for the worst form of bureaucracy ever, the House On-American Activities Committee.
House on Un-American Activities.
Un-American.
Yes. We should videotape this show. I'm going to start videotaping this show.
But Reagan's main motivation behind that was that he didn't get hired to be the lead in the Francis the Talking Mule movies.
He was bitter.
Yeah.
And by the way, Newt Gingrich talking about loyalty, really. This is a guy that divorced his first wife, started having an affair with her while she had cancer.
Was that her second wife?
One of his wives.
His first wife was the one with cancer, I believe.
Yeah.
And then he ended up leaving a second wife for his current wife.
Yes.
And he would probably say that he recused himself from the marriage so that she could focus in on her cancer.
So here's Herman Cain. I just have two quick examples of what we talk about.
Citizen Cain?
So how they don't know what's in the Constitution, and here he is.
We need to reread the Constitution and enforce the Constitution.
So he says we need to reread the Constitution and enforce it, and people go nuts.
Or in this case, read the Constitution.
In this case, read. So here he is. Then a second later, he quotes the Constitution, but it turns out it's not the Constitution.
There's a little section in there that talks about life, living in the pursuit of happiness.
No, not in the Constitution.
Wrong one.
That's the Declaration of Independence. Sorry, got it wrong. So here's John Boehner.
This is my copy of the Constitution. And I'm going to stand here with our founding fathers who wrote in the preamble, we hold these truths to be self-evident.
Okay.
I can't believe he's holding the Constitution while being wrapped in the flag. That's amazing that he can do that.
And misquoting it.
Yes.
And not in that's not in the Constitution.
They get the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution mixed up, just like a lot of people got Melrose Place and Beverly Hills 902.